Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Wife Moon Goddess, I teach her to develop civilization. Chapter 61. Okay, let's do it one by one. Wife, let's change the magic. It's the first time to use the moon ring without praying. Chi Phoebe made arrangements. The moon goddess nodded slightly. Ticini, you go and sort out your magic knowledge first. Chi Phoebe said to Ticini again. Okay, Sir Phoebe. Ticini said crisply. Honey, let's improve the functions of the forum now. Chi Phoebe recruited the moon goddess again to improve the functions of the moon forum. For the functions of the forum, just refer to the forums on Earth. The current forums on Earth are basically on the verge of elimination. However, forums, an early product of the internet, are just right for the current world of gods. Isn't the world of gods the early days of the magical internet? Chi Phoebe divided the moon forum into several sections. The largest one is the magic knowledge section. Phoebe named this section Moon Magic Encyclopedia. Well, everything depends on the name of the moon goddess. All magicians who log into the moon network must know that this is a gift from the moon goddess. Honey, set another restriction. You don't need anything to enter this section for the first 3 times. After the 3rd time, you must recite your prayers. There are also some requirements for piety. In addition, every time you enter, you must pray again every hour, otherwise you will be forced to exit this section. Chi Phoebe said. Want to gain magical knowledge? Then pray devoutly to the moon goddess. Chi Phoebe, who has experienced the baptism of those game profiteers on the earth, naturally knows how to trick those magicians and squeeze their faith to the maximum extent. Speaking of which, he is quite kind. After all, you just want those magicians to pray, and you don't want to cheat them of their money. Feel the routine from another world. Chi Phoebe, who had been stuck for too long when playing games, is now very relaxed and happy. Because now he is the one tricking others. Besides the Moon Magic Encyclopedia, there is the communication section. 710. Set up a general section, plus some subsections. The subsections are the sections for each type of magician. Chi Phoebe continued to make arrangements. While arranging, Chi Phoebe opened the pictures on his phone, which contained some forum pictures taken by Chi Phoebe. With his current talent in time and space, he still cannot bring the moon goddess to the earth. Otherwise, it would be better to take the moon goddess for a walk around the earth and experience the internet for yourself. Let's talk about it later. The moon goddess listened carefully this time. As a great goddess, she naturally has no problem with her memory. Chi Phoebe only needs to say it once and she can remember it word for word. As for the regional section, we'll talk about it later. Chi Phoebe said. In the previous communication with the moon goddess, Chi Phoebe had already determined the direction of the main attack. Currently, the main attack is on the Evernight Empire. Countries that completely believe in one god and belong to that god's kingdom are excluded first. The faith in these countries belongs entirely to one god, and it is difficult to collect faith through priesthood. In the continent of the gods, in a country like this, there are often not very strong magicians. Like this time during the civil strife in the Plantagenet kingdom, the strongest magician and hundreds of well-trained warriors could easily kill him. The truly powerful magicians are all in empires with a population of hundreds of millions. The Eternal Night Empire is one of them. The Eternal Night Empire does not belong to any god's kingdom. No god's light shines. All the gods here can only rely on their own priesthood to compete for faith. There are magicians here who can defeat 1,000, even 10,000, or even more powerful magicians. These magicians, even if a kingdom like the Plantagenet kingdom invites them, they will not participate in the war between kingdoms. The more powerful the magician is, the less likely he is to participate in the war blindly. Basically, after magicians reach the magic BBBA mentor, they all swear an oath in the name of magic that they will not participate in any large-scale war unless they encounter the invasion of dark forces. Doing this is not only an explicit rule on the continent of gods. In fact, it is also a kind of protection for them. Wars on the continent of gods often have the shadow of gods behind them. Magisters have a bright future and have the opportunity to become gods. If they participate rashly, they will easily offend the gods of the gods. If they go to the god realm in the future, the possibility of being retaliated by the other party is extremely high. Like the civil war in the kingdom of Plantagenet, magisters and above would not even participate. In a country with a fourth-level goddess, if you blindly participate in it, wouldn't you be sowing trouble for yourself? As for the magicians of the Plantagenet kingdom, they are not very strong, have average talents, and do not know enough about the god realm. The possibility of them reaching the god realm is almost zero. God is too far away from them. In addition, there are gods on the rebel side, so they don't care. The Eternal Night Empire has a population of hundreds of millions, and has concentrated more than 80% of the magicians in the surrounding area, as well as a large number of talented magicians. The number of magicians is huge. Chi Phoebe started to analyze. Honey, let's take down the magician from the Eternal Night Empire first. Chi Phoebe made the final decision. The moon goddess said softly, She does not have an advantage in the Evernight Empire. In the group of magicians, let alone, there is no belief at all. Now, through Yuang, she can do it. Therefore, in the following time, the kingdom of the moon goddess became busy. The moon goddess has perfected the function of the moon forum. The holy spirits are organizing and collecting magical knowledge. Chi Phoebe was next to the moon goddess, working with her and giving her some guidance from time to time. After all, Goddess Qiliang has never been exposed to this forum thing before. After a few days of busy work, finally, everything was done. Your Excellency Fei Bai, everything we can collect is here. It's not too much. If you want more details, it's best to ask the Goddess of Magic or the Goddess of Wisdom for help. Ticini said. Let me do it. Moon Goddess said. She summoned her own divine power and started driving. Amaya has a magic treasure house. Bye, I've agreed with her, can you help me go there and get it? After a while, the moon goddess said. Good. Chi Phoebe activated his time and space talent again and appeared in the kingdom of the goddess of wisdom. Your Excellency Phoebe. The holy spirits of the goddess of wisdom were also a little happy after seeing Chi Phoebe. White. The goddess of wisdom also came. You helped me take care of the Silver Star Kingdom, and I haven't thanked you properly yet. The goddess of wisdom said. Goddess helped me remove the fragment. I have already thanked you. Chi Phoebe said. Okay, here you go, this is the magic treasure trove Adele needs. What does she want with this? The goddess of wisdom took out a book and handed it to Fei Bo. Thank you, goddess. Chi Phoebe took it. After bowing his hands to the goddess of wisdom, Chi Phoebe once again activated his time and space talent and returned to the kingdom of the moon goddess. The goddess of wisdom was ready to say a few more words to Chi Phoebe, but Phoebe had already left. After returning to the divine kingdom of the moon goddess, Chi Phoebe handed the book to the moon goddess. The moon goddess took it, with her delicate hands driven by divine power. Then he saw the book flipping rapidly. As the book flipped, the light spots were absorbed by the moon goddess. Then, she began to complete the moon magic encyclopedia. It took 2 days to fill this section with a lot of content from the moon goddess. Moreover, it is a systematic magic knowledge. The moon goddess is ready to try the effect first. Other copyright functions of the moon forum have also been improved. Magicians can now post messages and communicate through the moon ring. The next step is to make more moon rings. The best material is gold. Gold can carry magic very well. Mithril is better than gold, but mithril is not easy to obtain in the god realm, so I chose gold. The moon goddess explained why she used gold to make moon rings. Honey, do you have a lot of gold in your hand? Chi Phoebe asked. The moon goddess said. There are also some that can make thousands of moon rings. Then let's make moon rings first. These moon rings will be distributed for free first. After the magicians use them for a period of time, we will charge them 10 times the gold weight of each ring. Chi Phoebe said. Magicians are rare in number and have a high status. In the Plantagenet kingdom, they are really rarer than nobles. In the Eternal Night Empire, because there are many high-level magic academies here, it has a siphon effect on the surrounding magicians, and the number of magicians is even greater. But in fact, proportionally, it is very small. These magicians are a little more powerful and relatively wealthy, so there is no need to worry too much about gold. The moon goddess has actually created many moon rings. In this way, after a few more days, the goddess Chifu created thousands of moon rings. Wife, leave it to me. Chi Fibai took thousands of moon rings and set off. He wants to take these moon rings to the Eternal Night Empire. The moon goddess still has a small number of devout believers in the Eternal Night Empire. After obtaining the coordinates of the Eternal Night Empire through these believers, Chi Fibai activated his time and space talent and disappeared from the moon goddess kingdom. When he reappeared, he had already appeared in the capital of the Evernight Empire. This is a huge city with a population of millions. In the continent of gods, this is a well-deserved giant city. It is also an extremely prosperous city. Your Majesty, the envoy of God, a believer said respectfully to Chi Fibai. Chi Fei nodded slightly to him in vain, and then said, "Are all the people ready?" "Everything is ready," the believer said. "Okay, let's do it." Chi Fibai said. "Yuehuan, what is this?" In the Magic Academy, a magician held a moon ring and looked at it curiously. Just now, someone gave him this moon ring outside the hospital. He saw that the moon ring was very beautiful and made of gold, so he accepted it. After returning to his residence, the magician immediately injected spiritual power into it. The moon ring lit up. Then, a screen appeared. Huh. The magician let out a light sigh, quite surprised. Moon Forum. He looked at the words above and became interested. The moon ring can also be controlled by the magician's mental power. As soon as he thought, the moon forum opened, and many sections appeared on it. However, a large number of sections now have no content and are still blank. The magician saw the section of the Moon Magic Encyclopedia at first glance. Curious, he clicked in. This is. At first glance, the magician's eyes suddenly widened. He couldn't believe his eyes. Breathing has changed involuntarily. He quickly opened the section and started reading. This time, his breathing changed even more. How is it possible? So much magic knowledge. This magician is incredible. Let's see if it's true. The magician did not believe it at first, but looked at it carefully. He is a fire magician, so he entered the fire magician section of the Moon Magic Encyclopedia and looked at it in detail. At this sight, the magician became fascinated. The section for fire magicians contains extremely systematic magic knowledge. The most basic thing is the magic knowledge of the magic apprentice. Some magic principles and magic are systematically explained. These explanations come from God's insights. Not just any ordinary god. She is a great goddess who is only one step away from the main gods. This is equivalent to having a high-level view, and it is also explained in simple terms, which is very exciting. So much so, this magician, who was obviously an intermediate magician, spent a lot of time looking at the basic knowledge. The fireball technique can actually be dismantled like this. The magician became addicted and a little excited as he watched it. A fire magician's most basic fireball technique, after dismantling it according to the knowledge in the Moon Magic Encyclopedia, gave him a feeling of enlightenment. The magician muttered words, and a fireball quickly formed. Sure enough, the casting time is shortened by 1/3. There was joy on his face. The casting time is shortened by 1/3. This is very nice. For magicians, casting time is very important. The shorter the magician's casting time, the stronger the combat effectiveness, and the smaller the chance of others getting close. Now, just from the gains he gained from dismantling the fireball spell, the casting time of the fireball spell has been shortened by 1/3. Not only that, but soon, the magician made a new discovery. That is, not only is the casting time shorter, but the power of the fireball technique has also become slightly larger. It consumes the same magic power and uses the same level of fireball, but now the casting time is shorter and the power is greater. You know, he hasn't learned the disassembly content very well yet. Once he becomes proficient, the effect will probably be even better. This knowledge is all true. The magician realized this. He closed the page about dismantling the fireball technique and looked at the table of contents. At this sight, his breathing became a little rapid. Even the forbidden curse. He couldn't believe it. Forbidden curse. This is something he has no access to at all. There is actually one on the Moon Forum. I quickly opened the page. At this sight, his eyes straightened. Meteor and fire rain, fire burning city, fire dragon hell, and fire domain. These four-letter words are not exactly those that make people awe when they hear their names, forbidden curses. The power of the forbidden spell is huge. The power of this thing is second only to some offensive magic. The scope of divine magic is very wide. It can not only be used to attack an attack, it is just an important branch of divine magic. Like the moon ring, it achieves functions similar to that of a mobile phone by fixing permanent magic. Although it is not as complicated as the function of a mobile phone, it is even more magical. There are even ancient forbidden spells. The magician soon discovered several ancient forbidden spells. He clicked in curiously and saw a description of an ancient forbidden spell. It really is. He was a little excited. Through the beginning of this forbidden curse, he could see whether it was true or false. However, when he was about to continue reading, he received a prompt. Your magic level is insufficient. After becoming a grand mage, this part of the content will be automatically unlocked. Can you still detect my magic level? The magician was stunned. Immediately, he reacted, and when activating the moon ring, he injected spiritual power. Moon ring should judge his magic level through his mental power. In the vast majority of cases, this is accurate. Seeing that he could not see the specific content of the forbidden curse, the magician was not disappointed. After all, the forbidden curse was too far away from him. It's not a good thing if he goes to see it now. He started to read lower level content. Advanced meditation. This site made him see something that moved his heart even more. Advanced meditation. He couldn't wait to open it and read it intently. At this glance, he discovered that this was indeed a more advanced meditation method. This is much more advanced than the meditation method he got in the Magic Academy. Oh my God, who created this? He actually has such an advanced meditation method. The magician's breathing became rapid. Just as I was about to take a closer look, suddenly, the daily picture prompt appeared. You need to pray to the moon goddess to stay online. Pray to the moon goddess. The magician was stunned. Magicians rarely pray, especially those with good talent. However, after being stunned for a moment, the magician risked his life in order to see what was behind it. Wasn't it just a prayer? He began to pray according to the prayer words on the prompt, crossed his hands on his chest, and prayed. Great moon goddess, thank you for your generosity and glory for giving us. After reciting the prayer, sure enough, the page on Yuang became normal. He began to learn. Learning meditation requires a lot of time. This magician learned with gusto and was extremely serious. But as I continued to learn, another prompt popped up. You need to pray to the moon goddess to stay online. Here we go again. The magician quickly began to pray. After praying, he continued to read. In this way, after praying 3 times, he finished learning this meditation method. Great, I'll try it tonight. After having the advanced meditation method, he was so excited that he quickly tried it. Magicians can meditate instead of sleeping, but it also depends on the meditation method. There is no way to completely replace low-level meditation methods. It still requires some time to sleep and rest. The more advanced the meditation method, the better the effect, and it can completely replace sleep, allowing the magician to make full use of the time at night. Unknowingly, the magician meditated all night. Early the next morning, he opened his eyes, with a look of ecstasy in his eyes. After one night of verification, he knew that the meditation method was real. It couldn't be more true, and the effect is exceptionally good. The effect of one night of meditation is worth several nights in the past. If this continues, wouldn't his mental power increase several nights faster than before? Meditation not only increases mental power, but also accumulates magic power during meditation. This also means that his strength will grow several times faster. Very good. The magician was very excited. Is this the work of the moon goddess? The moon goddess is so great. Although the magician was forced to pray to the moon goddess several times, he didn't feel anything. At this time, in his heart, he was extremely grateful to the moon goddess. Let him pray a few more times and he will be willing. He was so excited that he injected his spiritual power again. The signal is weak. Please try again after evening. However, this time, he received a hint. The current moon ring cannot be used during the day. Seeing that he could not use it during the day, the magician was a little depressed, but he accepted the reality. He put the moon ring in his inner pocket and checked it carefully. Afraid of being stolen. Then I went to the Magic Academy to take classes. As soon as he arrived at the Magic Academy, he saw many students gathered together. What I said is true. Billy can testify for me that there is really everything on the Moon Forum. A magician said excitedly there. Next to him, another magician was testifying for him. The other magicians didn't quite believe it, but looking at them, they seemed to be a little moved. They also have moon rings, thought the magician. In the evening, someone outside the academy is giving away moon rings. If you don't believe it, you can go and have a look, but you must have at least an intermediate magician badge before they give it to you. Among those magicians, there was Magician Dao. The magician didn't stay too long. He spent the whole day trying new meditation methods. As soon as night came, the magician hurriedly returned to his residence and logged into the Moon Network again. This time, the login was smooth. He directly entered the Moon Magic Encyclopedia and started reading it fascinated ly. As I watched, the reminder came that I needed to pray. Without saying a word, he just started praying. Please give me flowers. Looking at it this way, he saw it late into the night, and before he knew it, he watched it for several hours. Seeing that the night was getting late, he was about to enter meditation, when he made a new discovery. On the Moon Forum, there is new content in other sections. Is anyone here? I can't be the only one. A post appeared on the communication section. The magician opened it curiously. For him, things like forums were very novel. When he saw it, it should be a post from another magician. The other party also introduced himself as a student at Bohemia Magic Academy. The magician became interested instantly and searched for a long time on the screen before he found a way to reply. That requires him to first choose to register a screen name. The screen name does not need to be his real name, but it cannot be changed. Username. This magician found it very interesting. He glanced at the poster. His online name was Xiaobai Chu. The little white ball, could it be a woman? Thinking of this, the magician couldn't help but become more interested, so he gave himself an online name. Little Black Ball. After choosing the online name, the magician replied with a message on the other party's post, telling him his identity in school. After replying, he stared at the post intently and waited for nearly a minute. Finally, there was a reply. He suddenly became excited and saw that the other party was talking about the Moon Forum, saying that this forum was very powerful and was simply good news for magicians. Point 0. He also quickly expressed his opinion and was full of praise for the moon goddess. In this way, these two magicians started chatting under this post. This conversation lasted most of the night, until a third person joined. So, there was one more person who turned the post into a chat room. By the time the next morning came, thousands of floors had been built under this post. These thousands of floors were built by 10 people in total, and several of them were added later. So interesting. Early in the morning, the magician who named himself Little Black Ball found it very interesting even though he stayed up all night. With panda eyes, he ran to class. As soon as evening arrived, he hurriedly logged into the Moon Forum. After entering the Moon Forum, Little Black Ball found that there were more and more posts on the Moon Forum. Obviously, as time went by, a large number of magicians got the moon rings and logged in. Recorded the Moon Forum. When these magicians discovered such a treasure for the first time, they were all very excited. Basically, on the first and second days, they would spend time in the Moon Magic Encyclopedia section. Only later will they discover the forum's forum for posting and communicating. Then, this section made the magicians even more excited. This is just like when the internet first came out on Earth. If you add a random stranger to Penguin, you can chat all night long. It is said that in the original Penguin, friends were stored locally instead of in the cloud. That is, after changing a computer, your friend list will be gone. At that time, many people were surfing the internet in internet cafes. In order to find friends they had chatted with before and didn't even know each other's appearance, they would write down each other's Penguin accounts on paper and add them next time they go online. Both parties will also agree on a time to go online at the same time, often on time. Well, there were no routines at that time, and relationships between people were not that complicated. The internet environment was so pure that you wouldn't even believe it. The same is true for the current Moon Forum. Although it currently only has the function of a forum, it has made all the magicians extremely excited. Many magicians even stayed up all night communicating with other magicians on the forum. Stand up. How can these guys talk so much? In the Yongye imperial capital, Chi Fibai was sitting on a large chair, looking at the large number of posts that appeared on the Moon Forum communication section, and couldn't help but feel speechless. Now, a few days have passed, and more than 1,000 moon rings have been distributed. The monthly network has gained more than 1,000 users. The effect is also surprisingly good. The stickiness of these more than 1,000 users has been greatly improved. Every one of them is glued to Yuang almost all night long. The posts in the communication section all have thousands of replies. These guys are so good at chatting. From this we can also see the impact that Yuang has brought to them. Jim, can you lend me your moon ring? In the Yongye imperial capital, a large group of magicians gathered together. At present, only more than 1,000 moon rings have been released, and only a very small number of magicians have them. Over the past few days, the Moon Forum has gained considerable popularity among the magicians, and some magicians have heard of it. But there are still only a few magicians who have actually seen it. Some magicians pester other magicians to use them. This is bound, so you can't use it, and it can only be used at night. Then I'll go to your place at night and let me see what the Moon Forum is like. I want to go too. Among the group of magicians, all those without moon rings started shouting. At first, these demons didn't really believe it. But after there were more magicians with moon rings in the surrounding area, it was seen that the mental power of these magicians increased a lot in just a few days. These magicians are naturally envious. Some believe it too. Now, every evening, a large number of magicians will look for the person who issued the moon rings. Pity. These magicians kept watch for most of the night last night, but they didn't make it. Because the moon rings brought by Chi Fibai have been distributed. Each of these magicians was naturally very depressed, and they could only find a way to log into the moon network through the moon rings of other magicians. Therefore, when this evening comes, there are basically a lot of magicians around those magicians with moon rings. Even the little black ball who usually doesn't socialize much with, Ling Ling Ling, was discovered by several magicians after he accidentally let it slip. Then, at Little Black Ball's residence, this evening, the magicians came to the door one by one carrying gifts. Little Black Ball originally planned to chat with Little White Ball tonight, learn new magic knowledge, and then meditate all night, so as to have a fulfilling night. Seeing these magicians coming to his door, each with such a good attitude, he was helpless, so he had to take out the moon ring and pray. Do I still need to pray when entering the Moon Forum? A magician saw his action and asked. Of course, this is the magic of the Moon Goddess. If the Moon Goddess wants to maintain the Moon Forum, she definitely needs divine power. It's impossible for us to take advantage of everything, right? After the little black ball finished praying, he said to the other magicians seriously. This is what he really thinks. In a short period of time, he made good gains on the Moon Forum. There was also a little white ball that they could chat with, and the two sides chatted very speculatively. At this time, the little black ball couldn't be more grateful to the Moon Goddess. He took the initiative to speak for the Moon Goddess. It makes sense. Such a magical technique must consume a lot of divine power. Yes, you should also pray. After the little black ball finished speaking, the other magicians nodded one after another, agreeing with this point of view. As the little black ball finished praying, the moon ring started, and the Moon Forum appeared on the screen. Wow, is this the Moon Forum? An intermediate magician was as surprised as a child when he saw the screen projected by the moon ring. Don't squeeze, Charlie, I don't look good from this angle. It looks so blurry from this angle. However, soon, these magicians discovered that no matter how they looked, everything seemed a little blurry. I understand. You must not have prayed. This is a divine spell. It is bound to the magician. You all pray and try. This is a prayer. The little black ball appeared again. He took out a piece of paper and handed it to several magicians. On this piece of paper, there is written the prayer of the Moon Goddess. These magicians recited the prayer silently twice, and after memorizing it, they began to pray. As they prayed, they soon discovered that, sure enough, the screen became clear to them. Now, they can see it. This is also the adjustment made by goddess Chi Phoebe to the magic under Chi Phoebe's suggestion. A monthly ring binds a person. The moon ring is bound by identifying the opponent's mental power and brain waves. The divine spell fixed on the moon ring by the moon goddess is realized by a large divine spell, plus a large number of small divine spells, which are combined to form a complete divine spell. Here, there is an identification magic and a magic specially used to protect privacy. Just like the situation now. When others look at the screen, it will be blurry. Unless they pray too. Charlie, let's see the advanced meditation method. This is what these magicians are here for. Little Black Ball originally wanted to find Little White Ball first, but seeing how eager they were, he had no choice but to open the page of the advanced meditation method first. It is indeed an advanced meditation method. When several magicians saw it, they became excited and started to learn it one by one. Seeing that they were studying, Little Black Ball had no choice but to meditate to pass the time. Why can't it work again? An hour later, these magicians were no longer visible. Pray to the moon goddess. You have been the moon goddess and maintained this forum for such a long time. Don't you need divine power? The Little Black Ball opened his eyes and said to several magicians. Yes, please pray and be pious. If the moon goddess finds out that this is not cost-effective and closes the moon forum, that would be bad. A magician thinks more comprehensively and further sells anxiety. This caused several other magicians to quickly pray. I'm afraid that such a good thing will be shut down because the moon goddess consumes too much power. In this way, several magicians started learning again. After studying for an hour, the picture became blurry again. This time, without the Little Black Ball reminding them, these magicians began to pray with great enthusiasm. Just like Little Black Ball, after praying 3 times, they mastered the basics and were ready to meditate here. Everyone prays again. We don't have a moon ring yet. I hope the moon goddess will be merciful and let us have a moon ring. A magician reminded. No one has handed out moon rings in the past 2 days. Will there be no more moon rings in the future? I suggest that we pray once in the morning and evening in the future, maybe we can move the goddess Yongliang. These magicians were a little worried when they talked about the moon ring. They waited for 2 days, but no one gave out the moon rings. Everyone began to worry, fearing that there would be no moon rings in the future. As a result, these magicians who had tasted the sweetness began to pray more devoutly than the other. Such a scene is actually not limited to this room. In the Yongye imperial capital, things are happening in many places. In a room, more than a dozen magicians were praying. These magicians are of average talent. After graduating from the Magic Academy, they don't have much potential. In the Magic Academy, they don't have access to anything too advanced. Until the emergence of the Moon Forum. After a magician obtained the moon ring, he discovered the treasure and immediately called other magicians. Each of these magicians was even more excited than Little Black Ball and the others. Little Black Ball and others are still in the academy and can still get some resources from the academy, but they have no chance. Therefore, even though they looked at me and asked for prayers, none of them felt annoyed, but felt that this was what they should do. No moon rings have come out in the past 2 days. Let's mobilize the people around us to pray to the moon goddess, hoping that there will be more moon rings. Among this group of magicians, an older one said. The other magicians nodded. Soon, the magician who obtained the moon ring got a hint. The moon rings are initially distributed for free. But after using it for a period of time, if you want to continue using it, you need to pay for the earrings. If you don't pay, you can no longer use it. The purpose of this is to recover gold. After all, the moon goddess's gold reserves are not large. The price is not expensive for a magician, only 10 gold coins. Charlie, I'll go with you, I want to reserve one. I want it too. After getting the news, those magicians who didn't have moon rings were all excited and wanted to make reservations. Then, soon, the gold used in the first batch of more than 1,000 moon rings was doubled. Not only that, I also received a lot of gold reserved by magicians. With these golds, Chi Phoebe returned to the divine kingdom of the moon goddess. At this time, the moon goddess and the holy spirits had already created the second batch of moon rings. Chi Phoebe did not stay too long in the kingdom of God, but returned to the Eternal Night Empire with the second batch of moon rings. The second batch of moon rings has a large number, more than 2,000. The quantity doubled, but it was sold out on the same day. As these magicians spread word of mouth, other magicians were all moved and had been guarding for a long time. Haha, I have a moon ring too. Great. The magicians who got the moon ring were all very happy and excited. In the evening, before the sun set and the moon first appeared, these magicians returned to their residences one after another, and then activated the moon rings. At this time, the signal is already strong. If the moon goddess becomes more powerful and becomes the main god of the moon goddess from the 4th level, it may not be impossible. She can also connect to the moon network during the day. When the moon god system had a main god, even during the day, the moon where the main god lived could be seen, but it was not as bright as the sun. After thousands of magicians entered the moon forum, they were all immersed in it. The first thing they looked at was, of course, the moon magic encyclopedia. The magic knowledge in it was systematic and very comprehensive. 100% online rate. In the Yongye imperial capital, Chi Phoebe was checking the situation through the backstage. Thousands of moon rings that have been activated will all go online in the evening. 100% online rate. The communication section was also extremely lively, with many magicians exchanging experiences on it. Although there are only a few thousand users in the entire moon so far, the moon forum is already extremely busy. After watching it for a while, Chi Phoebe was very satisfied. The fruits of time and space are ripe. The good news continues. The time and space fruit on the time and space talent tree has finally matured after more than a month of gestation. Chi Phoebe picked it off directly and ate it. After eating it, Chi Phoebe felt that the power of time and space began to gather towards his heart. The fruit of time and space can transform Chi Phoebe's whole person again and again. First the heart of time and space, then the body of time and space, which can be continuously upgraded. Until one day, let Chi Fei stand shoulder to shoulder and even surpass the gods. This 4.0 is simply R. What good news! In the Evernight Empire, in another city, under the arrangement of Chi Phoebe, a small number of moon rings also arrived. This city is not as big as the Yongye imperial capital, but there are also some magicians living there. The talents of these magicians are not particularly strong, and their strength depends entirely on their age. Originally, they grew up very slowly and would not achieve much in their lifetime. There is no access to more profound magical knowledge, and there is no good meditation method. Now, the emergence of the Moon Forum has completely opened a new door for them. After these magicians got the moon ring, they were all even more excited. Some magicians would also share the moon rings with their friends, which caused the moon rings to spread rapidly in the Evernight Empire. It's not just the Yongye imperial capital. In other cities where magicians gather, Luffy Bai will place some moon rings. Emperor Yongye is the place with the largest number of magicians, but there are also many magicians in other cities, especially those with average talents who want to make progress as they get older. A magician who has room for further study. These magicians were abandoned by the Magic Academy. Now, the Moon Forum has become their best destination. Therefore, starting from the third batch of moon rings, Chi Phoebe will separate some of the moon rings and send them to surrounding cities. The role of word of mouth is not small. With word of mouth, more and more magicians know about the moon ring and the moon forum. So much so, when the third batch of moon rings was dropped, a large number of magicians were guarding there, which even caused looting. Haha, I also have a moon ring. What's wrong with you? I don't have it yet. How did you get it? There were too many people. I tried to get it twice but couldn't get it. In a magic academy, a group of magicians gathered there. 2 magicians with moon rings were showing off there. Not to mention how envious other magicians are. These 2 magicians spent money to buy special necklaces and hung the moon rings around their necks. Necklaces and bracelets require extra money. Gold is not available everywhere. Although for gods, gold is mainly used to fix magical arts and its role is not that great. However, if gods want to obtain a large amount of gold, they also need a lot of effort. In a god's holy see, gold is limited. Naturally, it cannot be given away for free. The moon ring is very exquisite. It is made of gold and hangs around the neck. It is more beautiful than some luxurious jewelry. Many magicians who get moon rings like to hang them. At this time, the class bell rang. Today is Instructor Eilin's class. Instructor Eilin only has such a class in one semester. Don't miss it, shouted a magician. Suddenly, all the magicians on the playground stopped chatting and rushed into an auditorium. Today, it was a magician who taught in person. Magisters are already very powerful magicians. Basically, anyone who reaches the level of a magician has the hope of becoming a god. Of course, just hope. There are still a large number of magisters who have stopped moving forward and cannot even reach the forbidden spell. In the Magic Academy, the magisters' classes are very rare. Open classes like this only last one semester. The auditorium has long been crowded with people, and even the corridors are full of people. Basically, magicians from the entire academy will come to watch a magister's class. Wow, moon ring. A magician with a moon ring around his neck walked into the auditorium, which immediately attracted the envy of many demons. After investing in several batches of moon rings, the current moon rings are extremely popular among the magicians in the capital of the Eternal Night Empire. There is a moon ring, and he is simply the most handsome boy. Some magicians who are not very outstanding in the first place, as long as they grab a moon ring, a female magician will come over and want to use his moon ring to take a look at the moon forum. Matthew, come, sit here with me. Immediately, some magicians who had grabbed a seat took the initiative to please give up their seats. Some other magicians with moon rings only received very good treatment after reaching 87. Even if you arrive later, a magician will take the initiative to give up your seat. Teacher Eilin is here, everyone be quiet. Instructor Aileen is here. All the magicians fell silent one by one. Soon, a magician wearing an exquisite magician's robe walked in. This is Teacher Eileen, a powerful magician. Instructor Eileen's style is very straightforward. She starts teaching as soon as she gets on the podium. A lesson from a magician instructor sounds a bit difficult. But all the magicians listened carefully. However, halfway through the lecture, Teacher Eileen raised her eyebrows. That classmate, what, do you have any opinion? Teacher Aaron looked at a magician below. The magician was named by Teacher Eileen, and he immediately became nervous. He was only an intermediate magician, and there was a huge difference in strength and status between him and the magician. How can I not be nervous when being called out by Instructor Eileen in public? He didn't expect that his little move would be discovered by Teacher Eileen, who was worthy of being a magician. Teacher Eileen, I have no objection. He quickly stood up and stammered. Really, I just heard you tell the next table that you have a more efficient way to cast magic shield. Instructor Eileen said. Be heard. The magician had no choice but to bite the bullet and said, Teacher, I saw it on the Moon Forum. I think that method is more efficient. Moon Forum. These 4 words are still completely new to Teacher Eileen, and she doesn't know what they mean. In that case, show it to me. Teacher Eileen said calmly. She didn't mean to embarrass the magician. The magic shield casting method she taught is universal and applicable to any type of magician. This method was created by herself after she had read a large number of magic books and even referred to some recorded magical techniques. It is known for its efficiency. But when she was giving a lecture, this magician actually told the magician at the next table that he had a more efficient way. If it were any magician, he would probably click on the other person at this time. She wanted to see how efficient the other party's method was. Okay, Tutor Aileen. Seeing that Teacher Eileen asked him to demonstrate, the magician had no choice but to demonstrate in public. I saw his hands forming seals quickly, and the magic power was mobilized by him. In the next second, a magic shield quickly formed. Magic shield is the most basic magic shield and does not belong to any type of magic. It has many shortcomings, such as high consumption of magic power and limited defense. But the biggest advantage is that this is the fastest shield that can be formed. In times of crisis, speed and regimentation are everything. It's really fast. Yes, is this also the method recorded on the Moon Forum? I'm going to grab the moon ring. 11. As soon as this magician performed it, all 10 of the magicians in the auditorium couldn't help but start talking. Because this method is really efficient, a bit faster than Instructor Eilin's method. Instructor Eilin's eyes changed. She didn't expect that the other party actually had a more efficient way. You just said, where did you get the method? Teacher Aaron asked. Teacher Eilin, this is the Moon Forum. The student said. Moon Forum. Instructor Eilin was confused. Teacher, this is the Moon Ring. I heard them say that through the Moon Ring, you can enter the Moon Forum. There is a lot of magic knowledge on it, and all magicians can communicate freely on it. On the evening of the next day, a girl wearing aristocratic clothing delivered the Moon Ring to Teacher Eileen. This girl came from a noble family in the Eternal Night Empire. She had a good talent for magic. In addition, her family paid a lot of money, so she has been learning magic from tutor Eileen. After that open class, instructor Eileen became very interested in the Moon Forum, which contained a lot of magic knowledge in the mouth of the magician. As a magister, she naturally didn't need to do everything herself, so she asked this woman to look for the earrings. After the girl found out that the moon rings were very difficult to grab, her family's strength showed up. When another wave of moon rings was released, she managed to grab two. She kept one for herself. A creation of the moon goddess. After hearing the girl talking about what she had learned about, Teacher Eileen whispered. As a magister, she has access to more things. Naturally, she also knows that the moon goddess is an extremely powerful goddess in the divine world. The 12 great goddesses in the god realm are all very famous. Yes, teacher, it is said that after using it for a period of time, you have to pray to the moon goddess before you can continue to use it. The girl said. Still praying. Instructor Eileen raised her eyebrows. Magicians will not give their faith easily, especially magicians above the magic level. They all have the hope of becoming gods, so it is difficult for them to pray. However, after hearing that it could be used without praying at the beginning, Teacher Eileen still decided to go to the Moon Forum to take a look. Soon, the time came to evening. Teacher, your mental power can be activated. The girl said. Instructor Eileen injected her own spiritual power. The first time you use it, no magic power is needed. The moon goddess has stored some energy in it, which can be used for the first few times. Then, the Moon Forum appeared. Interesting. Teacher Eileen looked at the screen that appeared and whispered. She took control with her mental power. Then, she saw the communication section, BBFE, and discovered a large number of posts from magicians. Can all magicians communicate on this? Instructor Eileen saw it with great curiosity. She casually read a few posts and found that there were many magicians communicating on the forum. These magicians were all particularly talkative on the forum. This is more effective than a magician's exchange meeting. Teacher Aaron thought. She understood a little bit why the Moon Forum was so popular. Then, she found the section about magic knowledge that the student mentioned. Moon Magic Encyclopedia. As soon as she opened it, Teacher Eileen's eyes couldn't help but change when she saw the target. Really, there is a lot of magical knowledge here. Moreover, it is all systematic magic knowledge. Although some magic knowledge is very basic, it is extremely essential. If someone learns it through this, it may be better than studying in a magic academy. So comprehensive. Instructor Eileen took a deep breath. With such a system and such comprehensive magic knowledge, it's no wonder they are so enthusiastic about the Moon Forum. Instructor Eileen said. Her eyes rested on one of them. Not only that, this magical knowledge is high level and easy to understand. There are also some lost knowledge, including advanced meditation methods, which is incredible. Instructor Eileen became more and more shocked the more she watched. The key is, such precious magic knowledge, the other party put it on top of it so easily. Great. Instructor Eileen thought of this word. Knowledge is valuable, especially magical knowledge. This is like an ancient craftsman who knows how to pass on his skills to no one except his apprentices, and may even hold back and not pass on his unique skills to his apprentices. Many unique craft skills have been lost in this way. But now, there is everything available on the Moon Forum. The moon ring only costs 10 gold coins, and the cost of using it is minimal for ordinary magicians. It can only be described with 2 words, great. But, Teacher Eileen immediately thought of something. That is, the existence of the Moon Forum poses a certain threat to the Magic Academy. With the Moon Network, who would pay high prices to enter the Magic Academy? Behind the Moon Forum is the famous Moon Goddess. The Academy may not dare to take the risk of offending a great goddess by targeting the Moon Forum, and besides, they have no way of targeting her. Teacher Eileen thought again. She is happy to see the emergence of the Moon Forum. Such a great work will definitely make magic more prosperous. Even the Forbidden Curse. At this time, she saw the section for forbidden spells. Although there was some very good knowledge in it, it was still below the magic level. After a quick glance, she found that a lot of the knowledge was quite brilliant, but she didn't pay too much attention to it. After all, her time is limited. The Lost Forbidden Curse. At this glance, she discovered that in the Forbidden Spells section, there were many forbidden spells that had been lost. These are all obtained from the wisdom treasure trove of the Goddess of Wisdom. Teacher Eileen's breathing suddenly became a little rapid. Forbidden Curse. She is now a magister, and if she goes one step further, she will become a great magister. After reaching the great magister, she can study forbidden spells. Once she masters them, she will become a forbidden spell mage. The probability of forbidden curse mage becoming a god is much higher, it is just a matter of time. Teacher Eileen clicked on the forbidden spells, but since she was not a great mage, she couldn't read them. Where did the Moon Goddess get this knowledge? Instructor Eileen thought with some regret. This knowledge would not be accessible to gods unless they were particularly knowledgeable about magic. Of course, she didn't know that this was collected by the Goddess of Wisdom. Among the great goddesses in the heaven, the Goddess of Wisdom is undoubtedly the first in terms of erudition. In this aspect, many gods cannot compare with her. Magister area. At this time, Instructor Eileen discovered a new area. Magister Zone. She curiously entered inside, and as soon as she entered, her eyes widened again. Because, here, there are a large number of notes of magicians above the Magister level. For magisters, other people's experiences are very important. Whether it is a successful experience or a failed experience, magisters need to be careful every step they take. It's like building blocks. As long as there are hidden dangers somewhere, you won't be able to build too high, and the probability of becoming a god will be infinitely reduced. Who doesn't want to become a god? Therefore, many magisters spend a lot of time every day looking for some magister notes to study. However, the notes they can find are limited. Now, here, there are a large number of magister notes. Instructor Eileen is simply dazzled. After the previous foreshadowing, coupled with these magister notes, it was a sure kill for her. Antonio's notes. Oh my god, he was a genius magician more than 10,000 years ago, and he even has his notes. Instructor Eileen flipped through it and found a note from Deja, and she felt incredible. She quickly started looking at it, and as soon as she looked at it, she forgot about the time until 1 hour was up. You need to pray to the Moon Goddess to stay online. A prompt appears. The screen blurred. Instructor Eileen frowned. Pray or not? Her original plan was to find out what the Moon Forum was and then quit, but now, if she didn't pray, she wouldn't be able to read those magister notes. Emma, can you enter the magister area? Teacher Eileen looked at his student, the noble girl. Emma opened the area of the Moon Magic Encyclopedia, and after looking at it for a while, she said, Teacher, I don't have this area here. Instructor Eileen's plan failed. However, when I thought about how amazing the Moon Forum was and how many magister notes there were, I hesitated for some time. Prayed. By, a magician is praying. In the kingdom of God, the voice of the Moon Goddess sounded. So fast. Chi Phoebe whispered. When preparing for the Moon Forum, Chi Phoebe specially asked the Moon Goddess to prepare an area, which is the Magic Tutor area. This area can only be seen by the Demon Island Master. Among magicians, the Magister is a watershed. There is not even a single magician in the Plantagenet Kingdom. But in the Eternal Night Empire, although the number of magisters is not very large, it is still quite large. Many of the magisters in the Magic Academy are only external hires. They only go to class for a long time. In exchange, they can borrow some resources from the Magic Academy. Most magisters spend most of their time studying magic in order to go further. Chi Phoebe did not expect that a magician would pray so soon. Looking at it this way, the large number of magic notes he obtained from the magic treasure house from the Goddess of Wisdom have a use. These magic notes were collected by the goddess of wisdom over the long years. As the goddess of wisdom, her priesthood gives her a natural advantage in collecting this information. Honey, please open the private message and chat functions. Chi Phoebe said. These functions have long been created by the moon goddess through the divine head. What is needed now is just openness. Nowadays, the number of users of Magic Internet is increasing day by day. Basically, every 2 or 3 days, Chi Phoebe will release a batch and circulate it. After eating the fruit of time and space and gradually forming the heart of time and space, Chi Phoebe's consumption of traveling between the Moon Goddess Kingdom and the Eternal Night Empire was reduced many times. The current supply of moon rings in the Eternal Night Empire has long been in short supply. Every batch of moon rings will be robbed as soon as they are released. Therefore, the current moon ring is not free at first, but directly charges 10 gold coins. If you want a bracelet or necklace, you have to add money. Now, it's time to open the private message and chat functions. Once it is opened, it will give the ring another value. Communication tool. Nowadays, although we can communicate with each other through forums, this kind of communication is still incomparable with precise chat. On the forum, it is more about everyone discussing together. The post you post may not necessarily see the person you are looking for. The chat function is different. Now the time has come to open it up, and the number of users has increased, which has caused a certain sensation among the magicians. It will also attract the attention of some powerful magicians in the Evernight Empire. There is also a great possibility that it will start to attract the attention of some gods. Chi Phoebe can naturally see that the Moon Forum will definitely have a certain impact on those magic schools to a certain extent. But, with my wife's strength here, the top management of the Magic Academy are hoping to become a god in the future, and they will definitely not target the magic internet rashly. But Chi Phoebe also needs to add more chips to avoid the intervention of the Evernight Empire or some other resistance. At present, there is no resistance at all, but we must be prepared. Once the moon ring has the function of a communication tool, the role of the moon ring will be even greater. Think about it. Thousands of kilometers away, you can chat and communicate in real time through the moon ring. This is a disruptive feature for a world with extremely backward communication methods. In fact, the current forum is subversive enough. As soon as this function is released, I am afraid that the Emperor of the Evernight Empire will come to Chi Phoebe to ask for the moon ring. Think about it. In such a large empire, the connection between the imperial capital and the local areas is very inconvenient. In addition to magical means, the only way to send political orders to local places is through heralds riding horses. Even the 800-mile express in ancient times still requires a lot of time. But now, we can actually communicate in real time. This will make a country's control over local areas more powerful. Any ruler would be excited. Okay, Shiro. The moon goddess began to operate in the godhead. With her operation, some new functions were soon added to the Moon Forum. First is the private message. Now, click on the name of the person who posted the message to send a private message to the other person. You can also add the other party as a friend. After adding a friend, you will enter the friend list, and then an independent software will be generated incidentally. Moon Chat. Moon Chat and Moon Forum are bound. After opening Moon Chat from Moon Forum, you don't need to rename it, just use your previous online name. After this function was launched, Chi Phoebe opened the forum and gave it a try. Compared to the penguins on Earth, the functions are definitely a bit too simple. Now it only has a chat function, you can't send emoticons, you can't send words, and it doesn't have any fancy functions. However, enough. At the beginning, wasn't the function of penguin too simple? As for the chat group function, Chi Phoebe is not in a hurry to launch it. Let's launch the chat function first. After trying out the function, Chi Phoebe did not rush to the Evernight Empire, but silently read the forum. Wow, there's a new feature. Soon, there were posts on the forum, and someone discovered the new feature. It's great, we can chat alone. In the Evernight Empire, a magician cheered. This is one of the first magicians to use the moon ring, that little black ball. Little black ball quickly found little white ball's post, and the other person was a friend. After the addition is successful, chat will automatically pop up on the right side of the page. A friend list appeared above, with only a small white ball in it. Click on the other party and a chat box will pop up. This is so convenient. Simple operation is enough to achieve such great functions. In the eyes of the little black ball, it's simply not great. In the past, he could only chat with Xiao Baiqiu through posts, but after a long time, he felt like he was being watched. The forum is only suitable for discussing and exchanging some topics, not for chatting. The launch of this feature now hits the little black ball's pain point. He immediately started chatting with Xiao Baiqiu enthusiastically. This night, the magicians who owned the moon ring all discovered this new function, and suddenly they were all extremely excited. Some magicians added friends from faraway places, hundreds of kilometers away from each other, and chatted there all night long. As soon as this function was launched, a large number of magicians went crazy. In just over an hour, Qi Fibai saw through the backstage that the magicians who activated Yuchao accounted for more than 90% of the total users of the magic internet. There are also some that should be in the Moon Magic Encyclopedia. Emma, have you been staying here? It was almost dawn, and teacher Eileen finally came back to his senses from those magic notes. She was so fascinated that she watched it all night. As soon as she came to her senses, she saw that the noble girl Emma was still there, looking at the Moon Forum. Ah, teacher, yes, the Moon Forum has launched a new function. I tried it, but I didn't expect it to be here now. Emma was a little afraid that teacher Erin would scold her. Because after she discovered the chat function, she added a few little sisters who she could chat with and chatted there for most of the night. Those little sisters were not born into noble families, but were commoner mages. If she were in the Magic Academy, as a descendant of a great noble, she would not want to chat with him. But on the Moon Chat, she became interested and came into contact with a side that she had never been exposed to before. This changed her view of civilian magicians. As a result, she chatted most of the night. What function? Who would have imagined it? Teacher Eileen didn't scold her, but asked. It's just chatting. As long as you add friends, you can chat no matter where you are. Emma introduced. Chat. Instructor Erin opened the Moon Forum. Under Emma's guidance, she quickly successfully added Emma as a friend and activated the Moon Chat. When she sees a message sent in the chat box and appears on Emma's screen, Emma's moon ring will even vibrate and give her a new message reminder. Teacher Eileen's expression changed again. As a magister, she saw the power of this function. This is simply a sound transmission thousands of miles, no, hundreds of millions of miles. So amazing. Instructor Eileen took a deep breath. The Moon Forum just popularized magic knowledge, and it made her feel extremely powerful. How courageous does it take to do such a thing? Moreover, this method itself is mysterious and unpredictable. Now, through the moon ring, we can actually contact people thousands of miles apart in real time. This is even more powerful. Please give me flowers. Instructor Erin realized. If nothing unexpected happens, the moon ring and this moon net will sooner or later bring about earth-shaking changes to the entire world. This made teacher Eileen have deep admiration for the moon goddess. At the same time, she was also curious. After so many years, even the main god couldn't create the moon net, so how did the goddess Qiliang do it? What? Yuehuan can actually chat, is it true? Of course it's true. I added a friend from Bailancheng last night and we chatted all night. Bailancheng. This is too far. Isn't this strange? There was a magician from Bailan City on the previous forum. Wow, I want to buy an extra ring and give one to my family. None of your family members are magicians, can they be activated? In the Yongye imperial capital, the launch of the chat function, not surprisingly, caused a sensation. Those with moon rings were naturally excited and wanted to show off. Those who don't have moon rings want moon rings even more. Under this circumstance, the moon ring became increasingly popular among the magicians in the Yongye imperial capital. A great mage is praying. The day after the chat function was launched, the moon goddess told Qi Fibai a piece of news. Did even the Grand Magister pray? The charm of Yuang began to show itself. Seeing that everything was developing for the better, Qi Fibai felt very good. Honey, let's discuss something. Seeing that the magic internet is getting more and more popular, Qi Fibai pondered for a moment and said. The moon goddess stopped what she was doing and looked at Chi Phoebe. Bye, what's wrong? Chi Phoebe said. Let's get the goddess of wisdom into the car. Goddess of wisdom. It was Chi Phoebe's long-awaited plan to pull some gods from the god realm into the car. The benefits of the magic internet are too great. The moon. The goddess is still injured, although she is a great goddess and extremely powerful in the heaven. But after all, she is not the main god. Once the magic internet spreads throughout the continent of gods, even one main god may not be able to take advantage of it. You know, the future magic internet will be open to countless ordinary people. We are just starting now and the cost is here. Just because we can't do it yet doesn't mean we can't do it in the future. Pulling the goddess of wisdom into the car, we happen to study together how to target ordinary people. Moreover, Chi Phoebe also wants to build the entire magic internet ecosystem in order to completely block the road to copycats. He did not underestimate the gods of the world of gods. These gods have never seen the internet before, but they have seen the moon network later. Although the moon goddess has taken the lead, she also has the absolute commanding heights in the priesthood. But just in case, you still have to be on guard. We must also be on guard against someone taking desperate risks. Simplest. As long as the moon goddess is solved, wouldn't the commanding heights of the priesthood be useless? The moon goddess is still injured again. So. If you want to become bigger and stronger, you must get some gods on board. Now, taking the initiative to recruit some gods with whom you have good relations can actually speed up development. When the moon goddess saw Chi Phoebe mentioning it, not only did she not refuse, she was actually somewhat pleased. Actually, I've had this intention for a long time. Amaya is a very nice person. She agreed as soon as I mentioned the magic treasure house. It took her thousands of years to collect it. The moon goddess was a little happy. It seemed that she had already meant this, but she was afraid that Chi Phoebe would not agree. This is easy to handle. As for the method of pulling into the car, it is also very simple. Launch some new sections or functions, and let the goddess of wisdom put some useful information on them, where she can collect faith. Since these beliefs are obtained from the magic internet, some will also be distributed to the moon goddess through the moon goddess's priesthood. If you bring other gods on board in the future, the same method will be used. Collecting faith through priesthood has no uniqueness. It is completely feasible for a civilian to pray to the goddess of life when he is sick, to pray to the goddess of the sea when he needs rain, and to pray to the god of war when facing war. In this way, the moon goddess eats the big head and the god who is pulled into the car can also get a good share of faith. It can also make the ecology of magic internet better, and it can grow bigger and bigger. Of course, not everyone will get on the bus. You tell her first, and I'll go find her. Chi Phoebe said. Yeah man. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.